I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, the letter began. I left because I didn't know how to face what I was becoming. Claire's heart pounded faster with every line. He wrote about losing his job, about his father's illness, about drowning in debt and shame, about how he thought walking away was the only way to protect her from his failures. You deserved someone whole, he wrote. I wasn't. Tears blurred her vision. He had vanished to protect her. Yet all she had felt was abandonment. She wanted to scream at him through time, to ask why he didn't trust her to stand beside him. But the letter offered no answers, only apologies. If someday we meet again, it ended, I'll tell you everything I couldn't back then. She folded it carefully, her heart heavier than before. For 3 years she'd hated him, and now she didn't know what to feel. Anger and compassion wrestled inside her like two storms colliding. She told herself to forget it, but deep down, she knew this wasn't over. The next morning the sky was pale, washed clean by rain. Claire sat by her window, staring at the letter again. She should have thrown it away. She didn't. Something inside whispered that fate wasn't finished yet. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number again. Can we talk? It was Daniel. For a long moment she stared at the screen. Every instinct screamed no, but her heart, that foolish, forgiving thing, had said yes. Against her better judgment, she typed back one word. When? Today, the old cafe. 5 p.m. By evening, Claire's nerves were a storm. She stood in front of her mirror, brushing her hair again and again, trying to look calm, though she felt anything but. When she finally reached the cafe, the same golden lights glowed through the window, soft and familiar. Daniel was already there, sitting at their old table, alone this time, his eyes distant. She stepped in slowly. He stood when he saw her. You came. Don't sound so surprised, she said, forcing a small smile. They sat. The same silence as before returned, heavy but not empty. 1,000 unspoken words filled the air between them. Daniel broke it first. Did you read it? Yes. Her voice was calm, but her heart wasn't. He nodded, eyes fixed on his coffee. Then you know everything. No, she said softly. I don't. You told me why you left. Not why you couldn't come back. He looked up. His eyes met hers, steady but tired. Because I thought you hated me. I did, she said quickly. But that's not the point. You could have called, written, something. Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. I wanted to. So many times. But every time I tried, I convinced myself you were better off without me. Claire leaned forward, her voice trembling. You don't get to decide that for me. Her words hit him hard. He didn't argue. He just sat there, letting the silence say what he couldn't. Outside, the sky darkened again, thunder rumbling faintly in the distance. Inside, they sat like two people trying to remember how to breathe around each other. Finally, Daniel spoke again. You know what's strange? I thought walking away would make things easier, but it didn't. Nothing ever felt right after you. Claire looked at him, her anger softening in the face of his honesty. Then why does it feel like we're strangers now? He smiled faintly. Because we are. We don't know each other anymore. The words stung, but she couldn't deny them. Time had changed them both. Yet even in the awkwardness, there was something undeniable. A pulse, a warmth, a memory of love that refused to die. They talked for hours. About life, about what went wrong, about everything and nothing. It wasn't easy. Every sentence carried a mix of comfort and ache. Sometimes they laughed, but even laughter felt fragile, like glass that could break any second. As the cafe lights dimmed, Claire stood to leave. It's getting late, she said softly. Daniel nodded but didn't move. His eyes followed her to the door. Claire, he said suddenly. She turned. I never stopped loving you. Her breath caught. The words hung between them, too heavy, too late. She didn't respond. She couldn't. Instead, she just looked at him, the man who broke her heart and was somehow still holding it, and whispered, Good night. When she stepped outside, the cool air hit her face. She felt lighter but not free, because love, she realized, wasn't something you turned off. It was something that waited, patient, stubborn, cruel. As she walked home, her mind replayed every word, every look, every pause. She wanted to believe his remorse, but pain has a long memory. She didn't know if she could trust him again. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. She lay awake, the letter on her bedside table, the rain tapping softly on her window. Then her phone buzzed again. Another message from Daniel. "There's something else you should know." Her heart skipped. She typed back, "What is it?" No reply. Minutes passed. She called him, no answer. She texted again, but the message didn't deliver. Anxiety clawed at her chest. Something felt wrong. The next morning, she couldn't shake it off. She walked to the cafe again, hoping to find him there. But his usual corner was empty. Only his half-empty cup from the night before still sat on the table, forgotten. The barista recognized her. "You're looking for Daniel, right?" Claire froze. "Yes. Did he say anything?" The barista hesitated. "He left something for you." She handed over a small brown envelope. No name, no note, just her initials written on the front. CM Claire's stomach tightened. She opened it quickly. Inside was a photo, a snapshot from years ago, of her and Daniel sitting right there at that same table, laughing. On the back, scribbled in his handwriting, were just 4 words. "Find me where it began." Her heart pounded. Where it began? She whispered. Their first meeting. She remembered. A small bookstore downtown, the one that had closed years ago. Or had it? She grabbed her coat and ran through the streets, her mind racing faster than her footsteps. The old bookstore still stood. Barely out, faded sign, dust-covered windows. The faint scent of old paper clinging to the air. She pushed the door open. The bell above it gave a soft, tired ring. Inside, it was quiet. Almost too quiet. She looked around, half expecting to see him there, waiting with that crooked smile. But he wasn't. Instead, on the counter was another letter. She picked it up, heart hammering. Her name again, written with the same pen. She unfolded it, her breath uneven. "If you're reading this, it means you came. I didn't know if you would. There's something I've never told you. Something I couldn't before. Meet me tonight at the lake by the old bench. There's something you deserve to know." Claire stared at the words, her pulse roaring in her ears. The lake, their lake, the one where he told her he loved her for the first time. She pressed the letter against her chest, trying to steady her breathing. After everything, after years of silence, letters, and pain, now there was one final secret waiting. As she stepped outside, the clouds above rumbled again. The sky looked heavy, like it knew something she didn't. The wind picked up, carrying a chill that crawled down her spine. Her phone buzzed one last time. Another message from Daniel. "If you come tonight, everything will make sense." Her fingers shook as she read it. What could he possibly mean? What truth was left to tell? She looked down at the photo still clutched in her hand. 2 younger versions of them smiling in a world that no longer existed. Her eyes lingered on Daniel's face in the picture. The man she loved. The man she lost. The man who suddenly wanted her to find him again. The sun dipped lower behind the clouds. The city lights began to blur in the distance. Claire took a deep breath, tucked the letter into her coat, and whispered to herself, "This time, I'll face it." But as she turned toward the lake road, a car slowed near the curb beside her. A window rolled down just enough for a voice, deep, familiar, to say softly, "Claire, don't go there tonight." Her heart stopped. The voice was Daniel's, but the car sped away before she could see the face. She stood frozen in the fading light, her pulse thundering in her ears, gripping the letter so tight it crumpled in her hand. And that's when she realized something wasn't right. Can you really trust the person who already broke you once? Claire couldn't shake the sound of his voice. It echoed in her head like a ghost she couldn't silence. "Don't go there tonight." The same tone, the same calmness, but it came from a car that sped away before she could even see who was inside. It made no sense. Daniel had told her to meet him at the lake. Why would he now tell her not to? She sat at her kitchen table, the letter spread open in front of her, her coffee untouched and cold. The handwriting was Daniel's, no doubt about it. But the message from that night, that could have been anyone. Her thoughts tangled. Her heart wanted to trust him, but her mind whispered that something didn't fit. Rain began again outside, light at first, then heavier. The kind of steady rhythm that makes you remember everything you've tried to forget. She grabbed her coat, slipped the letter into her pocket, and stepped outside. The world smelled of wet earth and nightfall. Streetlights flickered, reflections rippling across the puddles. The city was quiet, almost too quiet. She walked quickly, her umbrella low, her breath clouding in the cool air. Every sound made her tense. Footsteps behind her, the rustle of leaves, the occasional car gliding past. By the time she reached the lake, her shoes were soaked, and her heart wouldn't stop racing. What if the truth you've been chasing turns out to destroy everything you believed in? The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the narrow alley. Claire's pulse thundered in her ears as Daniel stepped in front of her, shielding her like old instincts had come back to life. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy, charged with something invisible, fear. Every step that approached felt slower, sharper, as if whoever was walking wanted them to hear the danger coming. A shadow moved at the end of the alley. Tall, still, watching. The streetlight behind it flickered, making its outline blur and reappear. Claire's voice trembled. "Daniel, who is that?" "I don't know," he whispered, his hand tightening around hers. "But stay quiet." The figure stepped forward, and then, just like that, stopped again. A man's voice echoed through the rain-soaked air. Calm. Cold. "You really shouldn't have come back, Daniel." Claire froze. She didn't recognize the voice, but Daniel did. His jaw clenched. "It's you," he said bitterly. The man took another step into the light. He was in his late 40s, well-dressed, carrying an umbrella, even though the rain had stopped. His smile was polite, but his eyes were the kind that never meant what they showed. "Still trying to play the hero, I see." Daniel's voice was low, steady. "What do you want?" "What I've always wanted," the man said. "The file you stole." Claire looked at Daniel in disbelief. "You still have it?" He didn't answer, which meant yes. The man's smile widened. "Hand it over, and maybe we can all walk away from this." Daniel stood his ground. "You and I both know it's not that simple." The man sighed as if bored. "You always made things complicated. Even when you worked for us." Claire's head snapped toward Daniel. "Worked for you?" she whispered. The man laughed softly. "Oh, he didn't tell you that part." "Of course he didn't." He turned to her, his tone suddenly smooth and almost kind. "Your boyfriend used to be one of us. He just didn't like how deep it went." Daniel's fists tightened. "Stop," but the man kept going. "He didn't leave because he was threatened. He left because he found out he was helping build the very thing that could destroy people's lives, and he couldn't live with it. But instead of fixing it, he ran, and left you behind as collateral." Claire's stomach twisted. "Is that true?" Daniel's silence was enough. Her voice broke. "You lied to me?" "I was trying to protect you," he said desperately. "You have to believe me, Claire. They're dangerous. You saw what they're capable of." But the man interrupted, stepping closer. "He's not the victim, Claire. He's the reason this began. He took something that doesn't belong to him, and now you're both paying for it." Daniel pulled her back. "Don't listen to him." The man's smile faded. "You think she won't find out anyway? You think she'll stay after she learns what's in that file?" Daniel's grip loosened slightly. "You'll never get it." The man chuckled softly. "Oh, I already have." Before they could react, he pulled a small phone from his coat pocket, showing the screen. An email was open, an attachment already downloading. "You really should have hidden it better," he said with quiet satisfaction. "Encryption only slows people like us down." Daniel's face went pale. No, that's not possible." Claire felt her knees weaken. Everything was collapsing around her. Lies, half-truths, fear. The man pocketed the phone and started walking away. "You should disappear again, Daniel. Next time I won't bother with warnings." As he turned the corner, Daniel rushed forward, but Claire grabbed his arm. "Stop, please." He stopped, breathing hard. The man was gone. The alley was silent again. Claire looked at him with tears welling in her eyes. "What did you do, Daniel?" "What's in that file?" He looked broken, haunted. "Proof," he whispered. "Proof that the company I worked for was selling private data. Not just numbers, but people's lives. Every record, every secret, every transaction. I thought if I exposed them, it would end. But I didn't realize how many powerful people were involved." She shook her head, stunned. "And now they're watching us." "They've been watching since the day I left," he said. "I thought if I stayed away from you, you'd be safe. But they must have known the moment we met again." The air felt colder. The street beyond the alley looked endless, empty, unforgiving. Claire's voice trembled. "So what now?" Daniel took a deep breath. "Now we finish it." "Would you walk into danger for someone who once walked away from you?" Claire followed him to a small apartment on the edge of the city, the kind of place no one would look twice at. The lights inside were dim. A single desk, a pile of papers, an old laptop. Everything smelled of rain and fear. Daniel sat at the desk and started typing. "We still have one advantage," he said. "The file I gave them. It's incomplete." "What do you mean?" "There's a second half. The one that can actually destroy them." She stared at him. "You still have it?" He nodded. "Hidden. I never trusted anyone with it. Not even myself sometimes." "Then where is it?" He hesitated. "It's not digital. It's printed. I hid it where no one would expect. The one place they'd never search. Where?" His eyes met hers. "Your old house." Her heart skipped. "What?" "Before I left, I slipped it under the floorboard of your old studio room. I thought it'd be safe there. You were moving out, remember? No one ever found it." She tried to process everything. "So that's why you left without a word. You were hiding something in my home." "I was trying to keep it safe," he said quickly. "If I'd told you, they would have followed you." Claire leaned against the wall, shaking her head. The weight of every secret, every lie, pressed down on her chest. She wanted to hate him, but seeing him there, tired, regretful, desperate, she couldn't. "So what do we do now?" she whispered. Daniel closed the laptop, his voice steady again. "We get that file before they do." The night was quiet as they drove out of the city. The rain had turned to fog, wrapping the streets in a soft gray haze. The silence between them was heavy, not angry anymore, just full of things neither knew how to say. When they reached the old neighborhood, Claire's heart ached. Her old house looked almost the same, except emptier. She walked inside first, the wooden floor creaking under her steps. The smell of dust and old paint filled the air. "Upstairs," Daniel said quietly. "The small room on the left." She led the way. The door groaned as it opened. The room was still half-painted, the way she left it before moving out. She knelt down near the far corner, where the wooden planks met the wall. Daniel joined her, pulling a small screwdriver from his pocket. Together they pried open the edge of the floorboard. Dust rose into the air, and then, there it was. A thin, sealed envelope wrapped in plastic. Daniel exhaled, almost smiling. "It's still here." He opened it carefully, pulling out several folded pages. Numbers, names, codes, things that didn't make sense to her. But one thing stood out, a name she recognized, her own. Her eyes widened. "Daniel, why is my name in this?" He froze. "What?" She pointed at the page. "Right there, Claire Monroe. Account ID, transactions." Daniel's face drained of color. He scanned the document, then looked at her. "Oh no, what is it?" she whispered. "They weren't watching you because of me," he said slowly. "They were watching you because you were part of it." "What are you talking about?" "Your old marketing job. The company you worked for was one of their clients. They used employee accounts to hide data transfers. They used your name." Her knees went weak. "So all this time, they weren't just after you. They were after both of us." Daniel nodded grimly. "And now they know we have proof." A sound downstairs cut through the silence, the sharp creak of a door opening. They froze. Daniel whispered, "They found us." Footsteps echoed through the hallway below. Claire's breath hitched. Daniel grabbed her hand. "Out the back window. Now." They climbed out carefully, landing on the wet grass below. The cold hit hard, but fear burned hotter. They ran toward the woods behind the house, the sound of voices following them. "Keep going," Daniel whispered. "Don't look back." Branches whipped against her arms, rain-soaked leaves clinging to her coat. The woods were dark, but she could see faint lights behind them. Flashlights. Finally, they stopped near a clearing. Daniel leaned against a tree, breathing hard. "We have to get this to the press. It's the only way they'll stop." Claire nodded, still shaking. "Then let's go." He looked at her, really looked at her, and for a second, everything else fell away. "I'm sorry, Claire," he said softly. "For everything. For leaving. For lying." Tears blurred her vision. "Just don't do it again." The lake stretched out before her, dark and still. The old wooden bench stood exactly where she remembered it. 3 years hadn't changed it, except for the carving they made together on its armrest, C+D. Time had softened it, but not erased it. She stood there for a moment, watching the faint reflection of the city lights on the water. Then, a voice behind her said softly, "You came." She turned sharply, and there he was. Daniel. Standing a few feet away, hands in his coat pockets, rain beating in his hair. He looked tired, older, but when he smiled, she saw a glimpse of the man she used to know. "Of course I came," she said, her voice tight. "You told me to," he frowned. "I told you not to come." Her stomach dropped. "What?" "I sent you that message. The one telling you not to go." Her mind reeled. "That's not possible. I got your letter. You said to meet you here." Daniel stepped closer, confusion written across his face. "Claire, I never sent any letter." She blinked, backing away slightly. "Don't lie. I have it. Your handwriting, your words." He shook his head. "I haven't written anything. Not since the one I gave you at the cafe. I swear it." The wind howled softly across the water. The rain thickened. Claire's pulse hammered in her chest. Then who did? Daniel looked around as if searching for someone. "I don't know, but someone's playing with us." She didn't know what to believe. Was this some twisted trick? A misunderstanding? But why would anyone else do this? The fear she'd kept buried since he left started to rise again. The fear of not knowing what was real. Daniel stepped closer, gently taking her hand. "Claire, I wouldn't bring you here if I thought you'd be in danger." "In danger?" she repeated, her voice trembling. "What are you talking about?" He hesitated, eyes darting to the trees beyond the path. "You deserve the truth. That's why I asked to meet you. But you need to trust me first. Trust." The word felt like a test. She looked into his eyes. Those same gray eyes she once believed could never lie. "Then tell me," she said. "All of it." He nodded slowly, his voice low. "When I left 3 years ago, it wasn't just because I was lost. It was because I was being followed." Her eyes widened. "Followed? By who?" "I don't know," he said, glancing over his shoulder. "It started after I left my job. Someone wanted information, things I refused to give. At first I thought it would go away, but it didn't. I started getting letters, threats. They mentioned you, Claire. They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd come after you." Her chest tightened. "So you left me to protect me?" He nodded, his voice breaking slightly. "It was the only way I knew how." She stood frozen, torn between shock and disbelief. "You could have told me." "I couldn't risk it," he said. "They were watching. I didn't even use my real number for months. I thought it was over, until I came back. Then, a week ago, someone slipped a note under my door." Her pulse raced. "What did it say?" He looked at her, rain dripping from his lashes. "It said, 'She doesn't know the whole story.'" Claire's stomach turned cold. "So whoever sent that, they're the one who wrote my letter." Daniel nodded slowly. "And they want us both here tonight." The realization hit her like a wave. Every message, every letter, every strange coincidence. It wasn't fate. It was a setup. Thunder cracked across the lake. The reflection of lightning flashed in Daniel's eyes. "We should go," he said urgently. "Now." But before they could move, Claire saw it. A figure standing across the water, half hidden by trees, watching. Not moving, just standing there, her breath caught. "Daniel," she whispered, pointing. He turned, following her gaze. The figure disappeared into the darkness, Come on, he said, grabbing her hand. They ran along the path, their footsteps splashing through puddles. The trees rustled behind them, a sound that didn't belong to the wind. When they reached the street, Daniel pulled her under a streetlight, his breathing heavy. We'll be safe here, he said, looking around. They won't follow us in the open. But Claire couldn't stop trembling. Who are they? What do they want? I don't know, he said again, frustration clear in his voice. But someone's been watching both of us. Whoever they are, they know our history. They knew how to bring you here. Her heart pounded. Everything suddenly made sense. The mysterious text, the missing calls, the letter that appeared out of nowhere. Someone wanted her to find him, but why? She stared at him, her mind spinning. Daniel, are you telling me the truth? He looked hurt. You think I'd make this up? I don't know what to think anymore, she snapped, her voice breaking. I've been living in confusion since the moment I saw you again. I can't even tell what's real. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then believe what you feel. Her breath hitched. Even in the chaos, his presence still calmed her in a way that terrified her. But before she could respond, a sharp vibration came from her pocket. Another message. She pulled out her phone. One new text, no name, just a number. He's lying. Don't trust him. Her blood ran cold. She looked up at Daniel, his expression unreadable. Did you send this? He frowned. What? She showed him the screen. His eyes widened. No, another message appeared instantly. If you stay with him, you'll never know the truth. Claire's hands shook. Who's doing this? Daniel grabbed her shoulders gently. Listen to me. Don't look at the messages. Look at me, do you trust me? She wanted to say yes. She wanted to believe the man who once made her feel safe still could. But something inside her whispered no. Before she could answer, another text appeared. This one had a picture. Her breath caught. It was a photo of her, taken just a few minutes ago, standing at the lake. Her fingers went numb. Daniel, someone's watching us. Right now. He turned sharply, scanning the street. We need to leave, he said. Now. But as he reached for her hand, his phone buzzed too. He froze. Slowly he pulled it out. His eyes went wide. Claire looked at him, terrified. What is it? He swallowed hard, showing her the screen. It was a message from the same number. You shouldn't have brought her here. The color drained from his face. They know where we are. Lightning flashed again. The streetlights flickered, then went out for a split second before returning. Claire's heart raced so fast it hurt. Daniel, what do we do? He looked around, his voice low but firm. We find out who's behind this. But first we need to disappear. Disappear? He nodded. They're tracking us. Both of us. Before she could question him, he grabbed her wrist and started running again. Through the empty streets, past dark storefronts and closed cafes, until they reached an alley behind an old bookstore. The same bookstore where everything began. They stopped, catching their breath. The rain had slowed to a mist now, the night quieter than ever. Daniel leaned against the wall, his voice shaking slightly. We'll stay here for a bit. They won't look for us in a place like this. Claire pressed her back against the cold brick, her hands trembling. I don't understand any of this. Why us? Daniel's eyes softened. Because of what I took before I left. She looked at him sharply. Took? What do you mean? He hesitated. Before I quit my job, I found something I wasn't supposed to. Documents, names. I thought they were corrupt deals. Nothing huge. But it turns out, they were tied to people powerful enough to erase anyone who gets close. I kept one file, and I think they know I still have it. Claire's stomach twisted. So you left to protect me from that? He nodded slowly. And whoever wrote your letter, they're connected to it. Her head spun. It was too much, too fast. She wanted to scream, to run, to forget. But deep down, a strange calm filled her chest. Because now, for the first time, the pieces fit. Even if the truth was darker than she imagined. Then, suddenly, Daniel's phone buzzed again. He looked down. His face went pale. What is it? She asked. He turned the screen toward her. It was another photo. This time, it wasn't her. It was him. Standing right there, in that alley, from behind. The picture had been taken seconds ago. Claire's breath caught in her throat. "Daniel, someone's here." He turned, scanning the darkness, but the alley was empty. Just shadows and rain, and then faintly, from somewhere beyond the corner, a sound. A soft click, like a camera shutter. Claire's voice broke into a whisper. "We're not alone." Daniel stepped forward slowly, eyes locked on the darkness. "Stay behind me." But before he could move again, his phone lit up one more time. One final message. It's time she knows everything. Claire's blood ran cold as Daniel's eyes met hers. The same fear reflected in both. "Everything?" she whispered. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, the sound of footsteps echoed from the other end of the alley. Slow. Deliberate. Getting closer. He smiled faintly. "I won't." Then his expression changed. Confusion, fear. He looked down at his jacket. A red dot of light hovered on it. "Daniel," she whispered. "What is that?" He turned, and before he could answer, a sharp sound split the night. A shot. Claire screamed as Daniel stumbled back, clutching his side. He fell to the ground, pain flashing across his face. "No, no, no," she cried, dropping beside him. "Stay with me." He grabbed her hand, his voice weak but calm. "Listen to me. Don't stop running. Take the file. Finish it." Tears fell fast. "I'm not leaving you." He looked at her, eyes filled with something deeper than pain, regret and love twisted together. "You have to," voices shouted in the distance, getting closer. Claire clutched the envelope to her chest. "I'll come back for you," she said, trembling. "Go," he whispered. She stood up, heartbreaking, and ran into the darkness. Her tears mixed with the rain, the sound of footsteps chasing behind her. She didn't look back. She couldn't. The woods seemed endless, the world spinning around her. Finally, she reached the road, headlights blinding her for a second. A car screeched to a stop. The door opened, a familiar voice called out. "Get in, Claire," she froze. The voice was calm, controlled. The same one from the alley, the same man. He smiled faintly. "You have something that belongs to me." Her hands tightened around the envelope. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. The rain poured harder, thunder echoing across the sky, and in that moment, as the headlights washed over her face, she realized the truth Daniel died for might not be something she wanted to know. She took one small step backward. The man's smile widened. "Don't make this difficult," Claire whispered, barely audible through the storm. "I couldn't contain myself from what I saw." Then the lights went out.